Commander's Log. Zalthar Vex Day 7. I have hunted 847 beings across 12 star systems. Warriors, assassins, apex predators genetically perfected for killing. None survived past the third solar rotation on Cathara, but today is the seventh day, and for the first time in 2 centuries of conquest, I find myself afraid. The scope's lens fogged again. Theron Cade wiped it with practiced efficiency, the motion automatic, after 3 decades of killing. Through the clearing mist, the crosshairs settled on a reptilian figure standing beneath bioluminescent vines that pulsed like alien heartbeats. Zalthar Vex, the warlord who had ordered Lyra's execution. Cade's finger rested on the trigger. Not pressing, not yet, just waiting. Around his neck, suspended by a worn ballistic cord, hung a dog tag. Stainless steel corroded at the edges from 3 years of guilt and rain. Engraved in military font, Ven Lyra M/O+/901. 900 confirmed kills in his career. Lyra was supposed to be number 901, the one that mattered, the one that would close the ledger and let him finally sleep without seeing her face in the dark. But 6 guards surrounded Zalthar. Plasma rifles, thermal scanners. Kill her now and he'd be trapped, pinned, dead before the extraction window. Cade's jaw tightened. The mud beneath him was warm, almost body temperature, mixed with oils from the native plant life. It had been 6 days of living in this filth, 6 days of becoming part of Cathara's ecosystem, 6 days of making the jungle accept him as one of its own. Lyra waited 3 years, he thought. I can wait 3 more hours. He lowered the rifle, melted back into the undergrowth, vanished. 200 meters away, Zalthar's head twitched. Her secondary eyelids flickered across reptilian eyes scanning the tree line. Her translator device hissed. Contact. Negative, Commander. Thermals are clean. But Zalthar's tail coiled tight. In her species, that meant one thing. Predator nearby. Act 1. The Mockery. 7 days earlier, the broadcast reached Earth during morning briefing at United Planetary Command. 14 species watched as Zalthar Vex stood before the Galactic Assembly, her scales gleaming under chamber lights, and issued her challenge in flawless standard. Humanity claims to be warriors, survivors of what you call a Class 7 death world. Her laugh was a guttural hiss. We have analyzed your conflicts, primitive projectile weapons, chemical propellants, tactics from your pre-space era. The assembly chamber filled with laughter, chittering, clicking resonant booms from species that measured warfare and antimatter yields in quantum disruption. Zalthar's crest flared. So I offer this. Send your apex hunter to Cathara, 10 solar rotations. Survive our patrols. Prove that creatures who crawl in mud can evolve into something worthy of the stars. More laughter. A Gelthian delegate adjusted probability odds on a holographic display. Survival chance 0.03%. Average life expectancy, 2.5 days. The feed cut. In the briefing room, silence. General Arya Cross was 53 years old. She had commanded orbital strikes during the Titan secession, had negotiated peace treaties with species that communicated through pheromones, had buried 400 soldiers under her watch. She closed the file without expression. Get me Cade. The cabin sat 3,000 meters up the Cascades, accessible only by a logging road that hadn't seen maintenance in a decade. Snow fell in sheets, erasing tire tracks, footprints, everything that marked human passage. Inside, Theron Cade sat cleaning a rifle that hadn't been fired in 3 years. 45 years old. 3 decades spent perfecting the art of killing. 3 years trying to forget. He heard the transport before it landed. Heard boots on the porch. Didn't reach for a weapon. If they'd come to kill him, they'd have done it from orbit. The door opened without knocking. Cross stepped inside, snow melting on her uniform shoulders. I need a ghost. Cade didn't look up from the rifle. I'm retired. Lyra wasn't. His hand stopped moving. The cleaning rod froze in mid-stroke. Cross set a tablet on the table. It activated automatically, displaying the Valkyrie challenge broadcast. Zalthar's mocking laugh filled the small space. That's not why you're here, Cade said quietly. No. Cross swiped the screen. A second file opened. Encrypted. red flagged with clearance levels that didn't exist on public records. 3 years ago, your team was ambushed during what you were told was a routine patrol of the Kepler Belt mining corridor. Cade's voice was stone. I know what happened. You know what we told you happened. 8 soldiers dead. Lieutenant Lyra Venn executed by Valkyrie hunters during an unprovoked attack on a civilian transport. Cross met his eyes. That's the official report. She turned the tablet toward him. The file was labeled Vanguard Mining Incident. Eyes only. Cade read in silence. Each line a hammer blow. 10 years ago, a Valkyrie civilian settlement on an asteroid designated KR-447. Population 230. Mining rights disputed. Vanguard Corporation hired private military contractors. Human contractors. The massacre took 4 hours. No survivors. Earth's government received Valkyrie diplomatic protests, demands for justice, war crime tribunals. They responded with lawyers, buried witnesses under non-disclosure agreements, paid settlements through shell corporations. And when the Valkyrie sent military units to investigate seeking any evidence, any admission of guilt, Cade's team had been there, guarding the site, following orders they didn't understand. Lyra died because Earth needed to silence Valkyrie questions. Permanently. The tablet screen cracked under Cade's grip. Why? His voice was barely audible. Why are you telling me this? Cross didn't flinch. Because the Galactic Council is voting on Earth's admission in 6 months. Because Zalthar isn't just a warlord. She's the sister of a colonist who died in that massacre. Because this challenge isn't about testing humanity's strength. She leaned forward. It's about forcing us to show who we really are. On a stage, the entire galaxy is watching. Cade looked at Lyra's dog tag. The number 901 caught the firelight. You're not fighting for honor, Theron. You're cleaning our sins so we can pretend to be civilized. Cross stood. I won't order you to go. This mission requires a volunteer. But I need an answer. The snow fell harder outside, buried the world in white. Cade picked up the tablet. The file was still open. Faces of Valkyrie colonists, children, families. Dead because corporations valued profit over ethics. Dead because governments valued silence over justice. And Lyra, dead because she stood in the way of a cover-up. When do I leave? Act 1B preparation. The orbital platform hung 40,000 kilometers above Earth. In the armory, Cade assembled his rifle with the methodical precision of ritual. Silencer. That's what he'd named it 15 years ago, a misnomer. No rifle was truly silent, but this one came close. Custom barrel, carbon fiber composite with thermal dampening. Effective range 2,200 meters in standard atmosphere. He'd made kills at 2,800 when wind and gravity cooperated. The scope was pieced together from 6 different manufacturers. Japanese lens, German ranging software, Israeli target tracking, American stubbornness holding it together. An engineer watched from the doorway, young, probably fresh from the academy. Sir, I have the briefing on Kethara's environmental parameters. Cade didn't look up. Go ahead. Gravity 1.3 times Earth standard. Atmospheric composition, 74% nitrogen, 18% sulfur dioxide, trace elements including the rain. The engineer blinked. Sir, the acid rain, is it consistent? Yes, sir. Every 6 hours, pH level 2.4, temperature cycles between 42 and 45 Celsius. The precipitation is good. Cade loaded the first magazine. Standard armor-piercing rounds. Predictable is survivable. The engineer swallowed. Sir, the briefing also notes that Kethara has never been successfully colonized. 17 attempts. The jungle is classified as actively hostile. Predators respond to heat signatures, sound vibrations, and something the xenobiologists call intent recognition. They seem to know when something is hunting them, yeah. Cade chambered around, cleared it, checked the action. Smooth. That's why you don't hunt. You become part of the environment. He held up a small canister. Camouflage gel, standard thermal suppression compound. Apply every 4 hours, effective against infrared up to... No. Cade set it aside. I'll make my own. Local materials. The jungle doesn't attack what belongs there. The engineer made a note, clearly thinking Cade was insane. Maybe he was. Cade loaded 7 magazines, 6 with standard rounds. The 7th had a red band wrapped around its base. He didn't explain what was in it. Didn't need to. Mission parameters, Cross said entering the armory. 10 days on Cathara. Engage and eliminate any Valkyrie patrols encountered. Extract alive. The galaxy is watching via Valkyrie surveillance feeds. Every kill, every mistake, all of it broadcast. Cade stood. What if I don't survive? Cross's expression didn't change. Then at least die well. Give them a show worth remembering. She handed him a data chip. Lyra's personal files, audio logs from her last mission. She knew something was wrong, Theron. She recorded, "Insurance." Cade pocketed the chip without listening to it. Not yet. He wasn't ready to hear her voice. The drop pod waited in the launch bay. Reinforced ceramic. Single use. It would burn through Cathara's atmosphere and crash somewhere in the designated zone. No precision, no safety systems beyond the absolute minimum. Standard protocol for expendable cargo. Cade climbed inside. The rifle case mag locked to the interior wall. Magazines secured in quick-release pouches. Survival gear minimal. Knife, water purification tablets, emergency beacon, and Lyra's dog tag hanging against his chest. Cross stood at the pod's entrance. Vanguard Corporation still operates. Their mining rights come up for renewal this year. 10-year cycles. If we don't stop them, this happens again. I know. Good hunting, Wraith. The pod sealed. Explosive bolts fired. The launch rails shrieked, and Theron Cade fell toward a planet that killed everyone who tried to tame it. Landing Cathara swallowed the pod without ceremony. The descent burned through sulfur clouds that turned the sky the color of infected wounds. Temperature gauges screamed. The pod's heat shield ablated in layers, leaving a trail of vaporized ceramic across alien atmosphere. Impact came sudden and violent. The pod hit mud that had never known human footprints. Sank 3 meters before friction caught hold. Steam rose in curtains. The hatch blew with a hydraulic hiss. Cade stepped out into hell. The trees were colossal. Trunks wide as fortresses reached toward a canopy so thick it blocked out the sky. Bioluminescent vines pulsed with soft blue light, rhythmic, almost like breathing. The air tasted of metal and rot and something else, something alive. Heat wrapped around him like a fist. 43 degrees Celsius, humidity at 98%. Breathing felt like drowning in warm soup. The mud came up to his knees. Good. Cover is cover. He stripped the pod for parts, salvaged the guidance system's wiring for snares. Heat tiles became false thermal signatures. Emergency flares could be rigged as distractions. Nothing wasted. Everything a weapon. Then he mixed his camouflage. Not the standard gel. That would mark him as foreign. Instead, Cade scraped mud from the deepest pools where the jungle's oils concentrated. Mixed it with crushed leaves that smelled faintly of copper. The paste was thick, dark organic. He smeared it across exposed skin. His armor. The rifle barrel. When he lay flat against the earth, even his heartbeat seemed to sync with the jungle's pulse. This was the secret no military academy taught. Survival wasn't about fighting the environment. It was about asking permission. Becoming small. Becoming quiet. Becoming nothing. The jungle whispered around him. Insects the size of fists droned through the undergrowth. Something roared in the distance deep enough to rattle bones. Cade didn't move. Hours passed. Through the scope, he watched, learned. The jungle had patterns. The bioluminescent vines brightened when predators approached. The mud steamed in specific locations marking thermal vents. Wind carried scents that changed with predator migration. And then he saw movement. 4 figures. Bipedal, armor glinting faintly through the haze. Valkyrie patrol. They moved with the confidence of apex predators who believed themselves untouchable. Cade counted heartbeats, his and theirs, studied their formation. The leader walked point scanning left. Second guard covered right. Third and fourth watched rear, but their discipline was sloppy. They'd grown comfortable. He settled into firing position. 1,800 meters. Wind negligible in the jungle canopy. Gravity 1.3 standard, so trajectory compensation. The first guard stopped, said something in guttural Valkyrie. The others laughed. Cade exhaled, squeezed. The rifle coughed. A soft sound swallowed by rain and distance. The lead guard dropped. Neat hole between the eyes. The others froze, confusion flickering into fear. They began to shout, scanning the trees with energy, rifles raised. Cade was already moving, low crawl. 30 meters east, resettled behind a fallen log that had probably been lying there for centuries. The second guard fell before they triangulated his position. The third tried to run. The fourth raised a communicator, panic flooding his movements. Cade waited. Let the device rise. Let the alien's claw press the activation stud, then fired. The round passed through the communicator's housing and the Valkyrie's skull in the same instant. Shattered both. Silenced the call and the caller. Steam rose from the bodies, the jungle already beginning to reclaim them. Cade moved quickly, salvaged ammunition compatible with his weapons, left no trace of his passage. The undergrowth closed behind him, erasing footprints, obscuring sightlines. When the recovery team arrived 3 hours later, they found only corpses and silence. Commander's log Zalthar Vexte. 1-4 Hunter sent, 4 returned in body bags. Thermal scans show nothing. Audio analysis detects no weapon discharge. Trajectories suggest firing positions in locations with no adequate cover. My officers say it is impossible, that the human is using technology beyond our sensors, that we face some new Earth weapon. They are wrong. I have studied the footage 17 times, watched the moment each hunter died. There is no new technology here, only something far more dangerous: precision, patience, and the absolute certainty of someone who has already made peace with death. The Gelthians have adjusted their survival odds. 0.08%, 3.1 days. I think they underestimate him. Cade found a rise overlooking the swamp. Settled in, the rifle resting across his knees. The rain returned. Steady, cold, it ran down his face, tasted of acid and earth. He watched the mist coil between the trees. Listened to the alien world breathe. Felt Lyra's dog tag against his chest, the metal warm from his body heat. For the first time since landing, he allowed himself to think about what Cross had said. You're cleaning our sins. Yeah, maybe. But he was also keeping a promise. Somewhere above the clouds, the galaxy watched, waited, laughed or gasped or made wagers on how long the lone human would survive. They didn't understand, not yet. Earth's answer wasn't fleets, wasn't diplomacy, wasn't words or threats or posturing. It was a single man who had lost everything that mattered, who had nothing left to lose, who had learned in 1,000 firefights across a dozen war zones that the only unbreakable weapon was the refusal to quit. Cade carved a mark into the bark of a fallen tree. One line, vertical, clean. Day 1. 9 more to go. He settled deeper into his hide. Let the jungle accept him. Let the rain wash away everything except purpose. The hunt had begun. And somewhere in an orbiting command ship, Zalthar Vex watched the silent feeds and felt something she hadn't experienced in 2 centuries: respect for her prey. Day 2, the jungle changed him in ways satellites couldn't measure. Cade's skin had absorbed the oils until he smelled like Kithara, like wet earth and copper-green leaves and something older. The bioluminescent vines no longer recoiled when he passed. They pulsed their steady rhythm unconcerned. He was becoming part of the ecosystem. 5th kill came at dawn. A Valkyrie scout perched in a tree 70 meters up, scanning with thermal optics. Smart position, elevated, good sight lines. But the scout made one mistake. He chose a tree. Cade had spent the night studying how the jungle worked. The vines weren't random. They were a network. Touch one and the vibration traveled. The trees communicated through root systems that registered weight, movement, intent. So Cade didn't shoot the scout. He shot 3 vines in sequence, calculated angles. The bullets severed support structures, redirected tension. The branch gave way. Not broken, just released. The scout fell 40 meters into mud that swallowed screams. No muzzle flash, no thermal signature. Just the jungle deciding it didn't want that particular guest anymore. 9th kill was poetry. Acid rain fell in sheets. pH 2.4. It corroded Valkyrie scanner housing, ate through polymer seals. The patrol tried to take shelter under what looked like stone overhangs. Cade had arranged those overhangs 2 hours prior. Salvaged armor plates from dead hunters, angled just right. The rain hit the metal, ran in channels, concentrated, became streams of industrial strength corrosive. The sensors died first, sparked, failed. Then the seals on the Valkyrie's helmet breathing apparatus. One guard panicked, ripped his helmet off, breathed Cathara's atmosphere straight, 18% sulfur dioxide, lethal to Valkyrie in 90 seconds. Cade watched through the scope as the alien clawed at his throat. Didn't fire, didn't need to, the rain killed for him. By the 12th kill, Cade had stopped counting. That one involved monofilament wire, 0.2 millimeters thick, tensile strength 400 newtons, strung between roots at ankle height. The lead hunter's leg servos locked when the wire caught, frozen mid-stride. The momentum carried his torso forward while his legs stayed put. The armor joint tore, not catastrophic, but enough. The hunter fell. His squad turned to help. Cade fired once, through the gap in armor where the joint had separated. The round entered at the auxiliary heart. The Valkyrie had two. You needed to destroy both. He didn't fire again. One was enough to start the panic. The other hunters scattered. Split formation. Tactical error. They should have consolidated, protected each other. Instead, they ran into the jungle that was no longer neutral. Vines moved, not quickly, but deliberately, wrapped around ankles, slowed movement, created separation. By the time the patrol regrouped, there were only two left. Cade let them escape. Survivors spread fear better than corpses. Days 4 and 5 brought 5 more encounters. Quick, efficient. No ceremony, just targets eliminated and tally marks carved. By day 5, the count had reached 17. But Cade no longer thought in numbers, only in promises kept. Commander's log. Zalthar Vex Day 3. Casualties 12 confirmed. 4 missing presumed dead. By day 5, the count will reach 17. But numbers mean nothing. Fear is spreading faster than death. No visual confirmation of the human. No thermal signature. No energy discharge patterns. My science officer suggests the jungle itself is hostile to us. That Cathara has chosen sides. Ridiculous. A planet cannot choose, can it? The Discovery. Cade found the ship on the 4th morning. Old, ancient by human standards. The hull was 500 years outdated, pre-FTL design, fusion torch propulsion, the kind of vessel that took decades to cross star systems. It had crashed into a clearing that was now overgrown with vegetation so thick the wreckage was barely visible. Cade almost missed it, would have except the bioluminescent beings grew in a perfect circle around the site, like a memorial. He approached carefully. The mud here felt different, firmer. The vines pulsed slower, almost reverently. The ship's hull was breached in a dozen places, but the main cabin was intact. Inside, he found skeletal remains. 3 humans, their suits marked with patches from the European Space Coalition. A venture that collapsed 4 centuries ago. The ship's log was still powered. Emergency battery, solar trickle charge from what little light penetrated the canopy. Cade activated it. The hologram flickered. A woman appeared, mid-30s, exhausted, blood on her face. Day 89. If anyone finds this, the Valkyrie attacked without warning. We weren't armed, weren't soldiers. We were scientists, xenobotanists. We came to study Cathara's ecosystem because the preliminary scans showed something impossible. A planet with a collective consciousness. The woman coughed. Behind her, explosions lit the cabin. They burned the sacred grove, the place where the root network concentrates. The jungle. It tried to protect us, but Valkyrie plasma burns don't care about symbiosis. She touched something off-screen. A plant. Its leaves were wilting. We fed the network our genetic data. Blood, skin cells, hair. We asked permission to study, and the jungle accepted us, protected us, until the recording cut to static, then resumed. The planet remembers everything, every species that respects it, every species that violates it. If humans come back, if you're watching this, the jungle will recognize you, if you earned its trust. The hologram died. Cade stood in silence, looked at his hands, the mud and plant oil he'd mixed instinctively, the paste that made him invisible to thermal scans. It wasn't camouflage, it was a handshake. The jungle hadn't just tolerated him, it had remembered humans who came in peace. had recognized the genetic markers in his sweat, his blood, his presence, and it had chosen to help. Outside, the bioluminescent vines pulsed brighter, like approval, like welcome. Cade knelt, placed his hand on the nearest root. "Thank you," he whispered. The jungle whispered back, not in words, but in the way the vines shifted, the way the mud seemed to firm under his boots, the way predator calls grew distant. He wasn't hunting alone anymore. The gift, Zalthar Vex watched the surveillance feeds until her secondary eyelids ached. 17 hours of footage. No sign of the human except the bodies he left behind. Her tactical officers had given up trying to predict his movements. The probability matrices were useless. He operated outside pattern recognition. But Zalthar saw something they didn't. Discipline, control, respect for the environment. She had hunted across dozens of worlds, faced warriors who relied on brute force, on technology, on numerical superiority. This human used none of those. He used patience. It was beautiful, in the way a perfect hunt was beautiful. Her lieutenant entered. "Commander, the next patrol is ready. 20 hunters, full saturation pattern. We'll flush him into no." "Commander," Zalthar's crest flattened, a sign of deep thought. "He is not prey to be flushed. He is—" She struggled with the concept. "Kethvar, jungle brother, one who belongs." The lieutenant's jaw hung open. "He killed 12 of our, and he could have killed 30. He lets some escape, lets them spread fear. He is not fighting for extermination." Zalthar stood. "He is fighting for territory, like the jungle's apex predators. There are rules to this." She walked to the equipment locker. Retrieved water purification tablets, standard issue, worth their weight in platinum on a planet where 90% of water sources were toxic. "Commander, what are you?" "Evokri law is clear. Worthy opponents earn respect. Respect demands acknowledgement." Zalthar sealed the tablets in a waterproof container. "Have a drone deliver these to his last known position. No weapons, no surveillance, just the gift. He'll think it's poison." "No," Zalthar's eyes glinted. "He'll understand exactly what it means." Cade found the container at dusk. It sat on a flat rock in the middle of his camp, a place he'd chosen because it had 3 escape routes and clear sightlines. The container was Valkyrie manufacture, military grade, unopened. He approached with rifle raised, scanned for tripwires, pressure plates, chemical sensors, found nothing. Inside the container, water purification tablets. Enough for 2 weeks, no note, no message, just medicine. Cade tested one. Spectral analysis showed no toxins, no nanobots, no tracking isotopes, just purification tablets. He sat down hard, stared at the container like it was a live grenade. "What the hell?" he muttered. In Valkyrie culture, he'd studied the briefing files. Gifts to enemies meant one thing: recognition of worth, the beginning of honor combat, not war, not extermination, a duel between equals. She was offering respect. For the first time in 4 days, Cade felt something other than numbness, confusion, and beneath it something more dangerous: curiosity. Day 5, the hack took 6 hours. Cade had salvaged a Valkyrie communicator from a dead hunter. Military encryption was tough, but not impossible. He'd learned cryptography from specialists who cracked enemy signals during the Titan secession. The key was patience. Let the algorithm run. Wait for patterns. The encryption broke at 0300 hours. Valkyrie comm channels flooded his earpiece. Tactical chatter, supply requisitions, status reports, and one encrypted file flagged with the clearance codes that made his blood run cold. He isolated it, ran decryption. The file opened. Vanguard mining incident. Classified. The full report, not the sanitized version Cross had shown him, the original. Cade read, each word a knife. 10 years ago, asteroid KR-447, Valkyrie civilian colony, population 230. Families, children, scientists studying mineral formations. Vanguard Corporation filed claim. Valkyrie protested they'd been there first. Earth courts ruled in Vanguard's favor. Technicality, jurisdictional loophole. The Valkyrie refused to leave. It was their home. Vanguard sent contractors. The report included video timestamps. Cade forced himself to watch. Human mercenaries, plasma weapons, systematic execution. They started with the adults, made the children watch, then killed the children too. No witnesses, no evidence, no justice. The Valkyrie government demanded accountability. Earth's response, diplomatic immunity, corporate liability shields, settlement offers with non-disclosure clauses. And when Valkyrie military units came to investigate to gather evidence to find any admission of guilt, Earth sent soldiers to protect corporate assets. Sent Lyra's team. Cade's hands shook. The tablet screen cracked under his grip. No, he whispered. No, no, no. But the files didn't lie. Mission briefing, deployment orders, rules of engagement. Priority: prevent Valkyrie access to site. Use lethal force if necessary. Lyra hadn't known. None of them had. They'd been told it was a terrorist threat. Extremists, dangerous hostiles. They'd followed orders, done their vows, and died for it. Because the Valkyrie units they engaged weren't terrorists. They were investigators, families of victims, people seeking truth. The ambush that killed Lyra's team wasn't unprovoked aggression. It was retaliation. Cade leaned against a tree, felt the bark solid against his back, needed something real to hold him upright. 3 years. 3 years he'd believed Lyra died a hero, died protecting innocence. She died protecting a massacre. The jungle around him pulsed, vines glowing brighter responding to his elevated heart rate, his ragged breathing. He pulled out the data chip Cross had given him. Lyra's personal files, hadn't listened to them yet, wasn't ready. Now he had to know. The chip slotted into his field computer. Audio file, recorded 2 days before the ambush. Lyra's voice filled his ears. Personal log, Lieutenant Venn. If you're hearing this, I'm gone. Theron, if it's you, I need you to know. Something's wrong with this mission. The briefing doesn't match the intel. We're told we're protecting civilians, but the site is abandoned. Has been for months. And the terrorists we're watching for, they're not moving like hostiles. They're moving like mourners. A pause, the sound of her breathing. I requested clarification from command. Got stonewalled. Told to follow orders or face court-martial. The team doesn't know, I haven't told them. But I'm recording everything, every patrol, every contact, every order that doesn't make sense. Another pause. Longer. Promise me something, Mark, if this goes sideways, if I don't make it back, find the truth, whatever it is. Don't let them bury it. Don't let my death mean nothing. The recording ended. Cade sat in the mud, let the rain wash over him. Acid and tears tasted the same. Lyra had known, not all of it, but enough to question, enough to document, enough to leave him a roadmap. I promise, he said to the empty jungle. I promise, Lyra. His communicator crackled. Cross's voice distorted by distance and interference. Cade status report. It's been 5 days. 17 confirmed kills. The galaxy is watching. I know about Vanguard. His voice was steel. I know about the renewal clause. I know this entire mission is theater while they prep to do it again. Silence on the other end. Theron, to you. Zalthar sent me water tablets. She's not trying to kill me. She's trying to talk. Cade loaded the 7th magazine. Red band, EMP rounds, custom made. I'm meeting her. That's suicide. It's an obvious trap. I'm ordering you to... Lyra died not knowing the truth. I won't. Cade cut the channel. The 7th magazine locked into place with a satisfying click. 20 rounds, enough to disable Valkyrie armor without killing, enough to create an opening, enough to choose conversation over combat. If it was a trap, at least it would be his choice to walk into it. The jungle pulsed around him, vines forming patterns that looked almost like paths, guiding him. Cade stood, shouldered the rifle, touched Lyra's dog tag one more time. Whatever happens, he whispered, this is for you. Dawn came slowly to Kethara. The light filtered through sulfur clouds turned everything the color of old bruises. In the distance beyond the swamp, beyond the killing fields, the ancient human ship waited. Zalthar's message had been clear. Coordinates. Time. One word. Parley. Cade moved through the jungle. The trees seemed to lean toward him. The vines pulsed in rhythm, marring with own heartbeat. Day 6, 4 days left, and the real hunt was just beginning. The meeting, the ancient ship sat in its clearing like a monument to broken dreams. Kate arrived at dawn, moved through the bioluminescent vines that parted before him like curtains. The jungle had accepted him completely now. Predators that would tear apart Valkyrie patrols merely watched him pass with luminescent eyes. Zalthar Vex was already there. She sat on the ship's hull scales, catching the dim light filtering through sulfur clouds. No armor, no weapons, just the warlord and the wreckage of humanity's first attempt to understand this world. Cade stopped 30 meters away, rifle lowered but ready, the 7th magazine loaded. Red band visible. They studied each other in silence. "Your people were here before," Zalthar said finally. Her voice translator rendered the words in flat English, but something in the cadence suggested respect. 500 solar cycles ago. The jungle remembers. "I know." Cade gestured to the clearing. "I read their logs." "Then you know why we burned them." "They asked permission. You didn't care." Zalthar's crest flattened. A Valkyrie expression Cade had learned meant contemplation. "We were younger then, more territorial. We saw Cathara as a prize to claim, not a being to respect." She touched the hull. "The jungle taught us otherwise, slowly, through the death of 6 colonies." Cade's grip tightened on the rifle. "Like you taught Earth through Lyra." "Lyra Ven, your bondmate. Lieutenant, my partner, my—" He stopped. The words caught. "Yeah." Zalthar stood, moved with the fluid grace of an apex predator. "I lost my clutch sister in the Vanguard massacre. Kira. She was studying mineral formations. Harmless, curious, 12 solar cycles old in your measurement." The number hit Cade like a hammer. 12 years old. A child. "Your corporations came with weapons, with legal documents that meant nothing to families who had lived there for generations. When we refused to leave our home," Zalthar's tail coiled tight, "they killed everyone. Methodically, efficiently. Then your government sent lawyers." Cade said nothing. What could he say? "So when your soldiers came to guard the evidence, to prevent investigation, to protect the killers," Zalthar met his eyes. "We responded the only way that made sense, with violence, with justice." "Lyra didn't know." Cade's voice was raw. "None of them knew what they were protecting. They were told you were terrorists. And my warriors were told your soldiers were accomplices." Zalthar's crest flared. "We were both played by those who profit from conflict." The jungle pulsed around them, vines glowing brighter as if witnessing this moment required extra light. Cade lowered the rifle completely, let it hang from its sling. "Why the challenge?" he asked. "Why not just demand justice through diplomatic channels? We tried for 10 solar cycles. Your leaders ignored us, buried us in legal processes, paid settlements that bought silence but not acknowledgement." Zalthar walked closer. "So I offered theater, a challenge your people couldn't ignore. A stage where the galaxy watches. You wanted to humiliate us." "No." Zalthar stopped 5 meters away. "I wanted to see if your kind could still be warriors. If you remembered what it meant to fight with honor instead of hiding behind corporations and lawyers." She pulled something from her belt, a blade. Ceremonial. The metal was dark, almost black, with edges that seemed to drink light. "First blood," Zalthar said. "Not death, Valkyrie tradition. Prove your worth. Earn the right to speak as equals." Cade looked at the blade, then at Lyra's dog tag against his chest. "And if I win, then Earth has produced at least one warrior worthy of respect, and perhaps conversation becomes possible." The blade laid on a rock between them, an offering, a challenge, a chance. Cade reached for it. The betrayal. Thunder rolled across Cathara's sky. Not the acid rain yet, just pressure building. The jungle sensed violence coming. Cade lifted the blade, tested its weight, balanced, well made. The kind of weapon that earned respect through craftsmanship. Zalthar drew her own blade. Identical. First blood, no killing strikes. Fight until the trees exploded. 20 Valkyrie hunters dropped from the canopy. Plasma rifles raised. armor gleaming. They formed a perimeter in seconds surrounding both Cade and Zalthar. Leading them was a Valkyrie with lieutenant's markings, younger than Zalthar. Crest flared in aggression. "Commander, step away from the human." The lieutenant's voice crackled with fury. "This mockery ends now." Zalthar didn't move. "Kelmar, stand down. That is an order." "No." Kelmar raised his rifle aimed at Cade. "You shame us, offering respect to the species that slaughtered our families. That killed Kira. That also lost innocent soldiers to our retaliation." Zalthar's voice was steel. "The cycle of violence serves only those who profit from it. I am ending it. By betraying our dead," Kelmar's crest went full scarlet. "Humans don't deserve honor. They deserve extermination." The 20 hunters advanced, weapons charged, ready. Cade calculated angles. 20 targets, 1 magazine of EMP rounds, no cover, Zalthar unarmed, survival probability near zero. He smiled, not from joy, from the dark humor of impossible situations. "So," Cade said to Zalthar, "rain check on the duel." Despite everything, Zalthar's jaw split in what might have been a laugh. "Acceptable." She moved. Plasma fire lit the clearing. Cade dove left, rolled, came up firing. The red-banded magazine sang. IMP rounds, custom designed. Magnetic pulse generators wrapped around depleted uranium cores. They didn't kill, they disabled. The first 3 hunters' armor locked up. Servos frozen. Weapon systems dead. They became statues. Zalthar moved like liquid death. No weapon except her claws and tail. She took down 2 hunters in seconds. Throat strikes, joint breaks, brutal efficiency. Cade fired, reloaded, fired again. The jungle erupted around them, and then the vines moved. Not slowly, not subtly. The bioluminescent network surged, wrapped around Valkyrie hunters, not around Cade, not around Zalthar. The planet had chosen sides. Kelmar screamed orders. His hunters fired wildly. Plasma bolts scorched ancient trees, ignited undergrowth. The jungle burned, but it didn't retreat. For every vine that burned, 3 more took its place. The root network remembered humans who came in peace, remembered Valkyrie who came with fire. Cade and Zalthar fought back to back. His rifle, her claws, moving in synchronization that shouldn't have been possible between species who'd never trained together. A hunter flanked Cade's blind spot, raised a blade. Zalthar intercepted, took the strike meant for him. Blood sprayed, dark Valkyrie blood. Cade spun, fired his last EMP round through his own shoulder to hit the hunter behind Zalthar. The round punched through muscle bone, exited clean, disabled the threat. His right arm went numb. Useless. How? Zalthar stared. "You sacrificed your shooting arm. You gave me water." Cade switched the rifle to his left hand. Awkward. Unfamiliar. "We're even." The battle lasted 90 seconds. Felt like hours. When the smoke cleared, 18 hunters lay disabled or unconscious. 2 had fled into the jungle. Only Kelmar remained standing. He dropped his rifle, pulled a backup plasma pistol, aimed at Zalthar's head. "This is your fault, Commander. Your weakness. Cade's knife took him in the throat. Not a killing throw. Cade's right arm was ruined. The angle was off, but enough to shatter the pistol's focusing crystal. Enough to disable the threat. Kelmar fell, bleeding, dying. Zalthar knelt beside him. Why betray your oath?" Kelmar coughed, blood on his lips. "You don't understand. The challenge was distraction. Vanguard, renewed mining rights. 3 new sites. While Galaxy watched you hunt 1 human, they signed contracts." The words hit harder than plasma fire. Cade pulled the encrypted file from his belt computer, the one he'd decrypted, showed it to Zalthar. "Renewal clause," he said quietly. "Every 10 years, it's renewal year." Zalthar's crest went flat. True understanding. True horror. "They're doing it again," she whispered. Kelmar's eyes glazed, his final words a whisper. "You fools, stop fighting each other, but not the real enemy." Then silence. The broadcast. Storm clouds gathered. The real acid rain coming. Cade's shoulder burned. Zalthar's side leaked blood that steamed in Cathara's heat. They stood among the fallen, among the wreckage, among the ruins of certainty. We were puppets, Zalthar said, both of us, dancing while corporations carved up more worlds. Cade looked at the ancient human ship, at the memorial the jungle had built, at 5 centuries of mistakes waiting to be repeated. Not anymore. He activated his comm, overrode every security protocol, hijacked the galactic feed that had been broadcasting this hunt to 14 species. Cross's voice exploded in his ear. Cade, what are you, Gui? General respectfully, shut up and watch. Zalthar activated her command override and combined their signals. 1 broadcast, 2 voices, impossible cooperation. The galaxy was watching. Time to give them a real show. Cade faced the camera drone, blood running down his arm, mud and burns across his face. Zalthar beside him, equally wounded, equally determined. My name is Theron Cade, Commander Earth Special Operations. I was sent here to prove humanity's worth through violence. He held up Lyra's dog tag. This belonged to Lieutenant Lyra Venn. She died 3 years ago in retaliation for a massacre my government covered up. The galaxy watched, silent, stunned. Zalthar spoke. I am Zalthar Vex, commander of the Valkyrie Expeditionary Force. I issued this challenge seeking revenge for my clutch sister, Kira, killed by human mercenaries in service of Vanguard Mining Corporation, a crime Earth's leaders denied, buried, profited from. Cade pulled up the files, displayed them on the public feed. Every document, every video, every piece of evidence Earth had tried to erase. 10 years ago, Vanguard Corporation massacred 230 Valkyrie civilians, men, women, children, for mineral rights. His voice was iron. Earth's government protected them, with lawyers, with soldiers, with silence. Zalthar continued, and while Commander Cade and I fought for honor, for revenge, for pride, Vanguard renewed their contracts. 3 new sites, more colonies at risk. We were distracted. They stood together, human and Valkyrie, bleeding, united. No more, Cade said. No more, Zalthar echoed. Cade looked directly into the camera. Galactic Council. Earth requests membership based on the promise of civilization, of law, of ethics. I stand here with Commander Vex to declare we do not deserve that membership, not while we shelter corporations that commit genocide. Zalthar's crest flared. Valkyrie Dominion declares Commander Theron Cade as Cathvar, Jungle Brother, first non-Valkyrie to earn this honor. He has proven that warriors exist among humans, warriors who choose truth over convenience. And I declare Vanguard Mining Corporation guilty of crimes against sentient beings. Cade's hand found Zalthar's shoulder, steadying alliance. The Valkyrie deserve justice. Humanity deserves truth. Both deserve better than leaders who trade lives for profit. The broadcast ended. Silence flooded the jungle. Then Cross's voice, quiet, defeated. Theron, you just ended my career and possibly started a civil war. Good, Cade said. Maybe the next general will remember what honor means. He cut the channel. 6 months later, their cabin overlooked Cathara's southern valley, built from salvaged ship parts and jungle wood. The vines had grown around it, through it, made it part of the ecosystem. Cade sat on the porch. His right arm had healed, mostly. Still couldn't make shots past 1,000 meters, but 1,000 was enough. The jungle stretched to the horizon, bioluminescent, alive. Home, footsteps, familiar rhythm. Zalthar emerged from the tree line. She'd changed. No longer wore full military armor, just practical gear. A hunter, not a warlord. 3 more corporations fled Earth jurisdiction, she reported. Galactic Council froze their assets pending investigation. Good. Cross was dishonorably discharged. New administration installed. They're cooperating with Valkyrie justice proceedings. Also good. Zalthar sat beside him. Her tail coiled in what Cade had learned meant contentment. The council created a new position. Witness arbiter. Investigates corporate crimes across species boundaries. Enforces ethics where law fails. She paused. They offered it to you. I know, accepted this morning. Good. Zalthar pulled out 2 cups, poured something dark and steaming. Then you'll need this. Coffee. I've been practicing with the human settlements. Still too bitter. Cade took the cup, sipped, made a face. Yeah, way too bitter. You said it takes a lifetime to learn. I said good coffee takes a lifetime. This is, well, it's coffee adjacent. Zalthar's jaw split in amusement. I have 800 more solar cycles. You have what, 40, 30 if I'm lucky. Cade set down the cup, pulled out the ceremonial blade she'd given him. The dark metal caught the bioluminescent light. You told me to return this if humans forget how to be warriors. Yes, I'm keeping it. Reminder that warriors build things, don't just break them. Zalthar nodded, pulled out Lyra's dog tag, the number 901 still visible. And I keep this. Remember her. Remember what happens when we fight each other instead of the real threats. They sat in comfortable silence. The jungle pulsed around them. Accepted them both, Cade's computer chimed. New assignment, a mining operation on the edge of Geltian space. Labor violations. Possible forced conscription of indigenous species. Looks like we're needed, he said. We do. Zalthar stood, stretched. You think I let you hunt alone, you'd get lost without a proper tracker. I survived 10 days on Cathara. Barely, and the jungle liked you. Other worlds won't be so kind. Cade smiled, rose, shouldered his rifle. Silencer, still reliable, still deadly when needed. They walked to the landing pad. A small ship waited. Joint Earth-Valkyrie design. Symbol of new cooperation. New possibilities. Before boarding, Cade stopped. Looked back at the jungle. At the ancient crash site visible in the distance. At 500 years of mistakes that led to 6 months of redemption. They asked me once, what makes humans dangerous, he said quietly. Not to Zalthar, to the memory of Lyra, to himself. I told them the wrong thing. Said it was our violence, our endurance, our refusal to quit. The jungle whispered, listening. But that's not it. Those are just tools. What makes us dangerous is that we choose when to stop fighting and start listening. When to put down weapons and pick up truth. When to sacrifice pride for justice. He touched Lyra's name carved into the ship's hull. Memorial. Promise. Hope. You taught me that dying for a lie isn't noble. Living for truth is. Zalthar taught me that enemies can become allies if we're brave enough to see past our anger. Cade looked at the stars. The galaxy wanted a show. We gave them a mirror, and that's more terrifying than any weapon. Zalthar appeared beside him, handed him the bitter coffee she'd made. Still going to teach me proper coffee, she asked. Takes a lifetime. Then we better start now. You don't have much time. 40 years is enough to learn what matters. They boarded the ship together. The engines hummed to life. Cathara's jungle glowed brighter as if saying goodbye. Or perhaps promising to remember. The ship lifted, broke atmosphere, left the planet that had tested them, broken them, rebuilt them into something better. Behind them, the jungle grew over the battlefield. Vines covered plasma scars. Mud swallowed blood. In a year, no one would know 20 hunters had died there. But the planet would remember. And in the sectors beyond, corporations began to fear. Not because Earth had weapons, because Earth had finally found a warrior who understood that the strongest fights aren't won with bullets. They're won with truth. Commander's final log, Zalthar Vex, I hunted 847 beings, killed them all, felt pride in each victory. Then I met one human who refused to be prey, who became the jungle's brother, who taught me that the greatest warriors know when not to kill. His name is Theron Cade, and he is no longer my enemy. He is my reminder that evolution isn't about strength. It's about choosing to be better than our worst instincts. The hunt continues, but now we hunt together, and the prey we seek isn't each other, it's injustice itself.